I usually have a couple of topics that I like to talk about. Things like keeping the gospel pure. That's what Paul did his whole life, trying to keep the gospel pure. And we have generations to come. If we don't take that responsibility up, then who's going to do it? And I thought, okay, let's park it here. Living with the eternal perspective. When we die, we don't die. We have an eternal perspective. We're going to live beyond dying. So how does that affect the way we live? Parked it here. God will reveal which one I must talk about. Sometimes I just do a Bible study or a story of someone in the Bible. And I parked it all here. God highlighted none of them. Because I thought it's going to be easy. You take one of them, you ask God what He wants to impart to the congregation, you brush it up a little bit, and Bob's your uncle, there you go. Nothing. So pray, God, if this is not it, what then? So He started putting things in my heart, things in my mind, but loose-standing things that didn't make any sense. You hear something and I said, no, God, this is not working. I need more. I need a topic, or I need a heading. Now, do you know God? When you want to ask Him and you want it now, He's quiet. Nothing. So I said to Andre, I have a couple of things in my head and in my heart, but I don't know how to put it together. And then one day, I've got a veggie garden. You'll hear about my veggie garden. I was in my veggie garden, and God said to me, who am I for you? Who am I for you? Now, if you stand here and you have to say, who am I for you? What will your answer be? I thought, oh, that's easy. I know God. I'm 60-something. I've lived with Him my whole life. No, let's start. God, you're my Alpha and my Omega. Yeah, but what does it mean? What does it mean if you say, I'm your Alpha and your Omega? I'm your beginning. And, well, I'm the beginning, not only your beginning. I'm the beginning, and I'm the end. Now, okay, I'll have to think about that one a little bit more. But you are my source, my sustainer. Say, now, if I don't give you what you want, what do you think of me then? Say, no, but I know it. He said, yeah, but I'm not asking you what's in your head. I'm asking you what's in your heart. And we went through a couple of things. When we got to, oh, God, you're the creator. That one was easy because there's no one that can duplicate. And you guys in this beautiful, but there is no one who can duplicate that. No one can look at a baby and see new birth and not know that there's God, the creator. But then I realized what I was doing. I was making a list, and I was putting all God's characteristics, what I've learned over the years, many years of Sunday school and church, on a list. And I started ticking them off, what I think of them. And I thought, but that's arrogant. Because God is not who I think He is. He is God. I must just work out, or what He asked me is not who He is. He asked me who He is for me. And I know that all of that is available to me. But do I use it? Do I really? And if I say use it, use sounds like a funny word, but God gave Himself to us. We have Him. Do we really know what we have? Do we really, really tap into what we have? And then I thought, okay, I think I have the topic. Okay, I think I have it. And we always watch reality TV, sports. I think there's a couple of people who's with me on that one. And then maybe sometimes we can watch a cooking program or a housing program. But one evening we were watching TV and Andre had to take the dogs out. We live on a farm, but we have wild animals, so we can't just open the door and let the dogs go. You don't know whether something kicked them in the dog or so. So he goes out with the dogs, and I was just flipping through the TV to see if there's anything else that we can now start following or looking, or is there something interesting. And on KykNet there's a program, Grondpad Geloof. I don't know whether anyone has seen it or come across it. I thought, now that sounds interesting. Grondpad Geloof, what does that mean? And I started watching the first program, and there was the presenter, Dana, he goes to different places and he visits different people. And then at the end of each one, he says, now, who's God for you? And I thought, that's it, confirmation. I've got the topic. So now you all know that God took his time telling me what to impart to you today. So I hope that your minds and your hearts, and more your hearts than your minds, are just open to hear most of our story and a little bit just most of our story and how God came through. Because if you've lived life, you know when you can do things and when God is doing things. You have a clear distinction, or this I can do and this I can't do. Now, usually, when I don't know where to start, because where do you start? Ian, and thank you for your scripture this morning. Where do you start if you have to talk about God? Because we can't comprehend him. His ways is just way higher than our way. Well, his thoughts. And his ways are not our ways. I mean, if you ask me to go and save the Israelites from Egypt, what will I do? I'll go to get the world's strongest army. And we will go into Egypt and we will save all the Israelites from Egypt. What does God do? He sends an old man with a stutter and a kiri. Really? So all I'm saying is our time is not over yet. Nee. We can still do things around, yeah. But so that makes it very, very difficult to talk about God from a human perspective. So in your hearts, just know that this is my human attempt of just getting through to who God is for us. So if I don't know where to start or where to go, I always go to the Bible, because all the stories are covered in the Bible. It was written over a period of 1,400 to 600 years, the Bible. And that's much more experience than I have. So I go there. And that was Holy Spirit inspired. So I read Matthew 16, verse 13 to 20. And I typed it out for you, because if I have to remember all the scriptures, and I think I will remember, then I go home and then I can't remember them, I just get irritated with myself. So each one got a page because of my irritation. Okay, Matthew 16, verse 13 to 20. So now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" And they said, some said, John the Baptist, others said Elijah, others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. And he said to them, "But who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter replied, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give you the keys of the kingdom and of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Then he strictly charged the disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. Now, isn't that the same question 2,000 years later? Who am I? Who do you say, who am I? So if we think of who do you say I am, then there's two words in the Greek for knowledge, because we have to know God to have an opinion. You can't form an opinion about something or someone you don't know. So we have two words. The one is gnosis, and the other one is epignosis. Now, gnosis is your intellectual knowledge. So you might have, for instance, a gnosis of Andre. You've heard something about his story, you've met him a couple of times. I have an epignosis of Andre. I've lived with him I've shared my life with him for nearly 50 years. So that is the difference. Have you lived with something? Then you have epignosis. Have you just read about it, seen someone around, then it's a gnosis. So God asked this question of us from our epignosis, from our experience with it. Now, we can't look at one little incident in our life and say, that's God. Some of us do that. We lost a baby. You lose a baby, you think, why? Does God not love us? And then your mind goes in ways where God is not. And that is not who He is. That is who we make Him. So we can't put God in a box and say, God is like this, and He's like this, and He's like this. Close the box, put it there. And whenever I need God, I go back to my box, I open it, and I look at it. We can't do that. We have to live with Him, like I live with Andre. Through his snoring, through his... What are you doing that's bad? He's snoring. Oh, and he can't tell short stories. He only has long versions. And so I have to live with him through that. And sometimes life and the way we live life and the decisions we make puts us in places that's bad. Things happen, life happens, death happens. But does that change who God is? No. Never, ever, ever, ever. But we change our opinions of Him. And that is what we have to guard against. And the answer to this question will therefore not come from our gnosis, from what we read or what we know. It comes from living with God. The answer to this question will only be from God, who are you? Tell me in this situation. I can't see you. Tell me who you are. So let's go back to our story. If you know God, I wrote here that He will reveal your destiny to you. He said to Peter, Simon Peter, he called him Simon Bar-Jonah. Simon means hearer. Bar-Jonah means son of Jonah. Peter, he said to him, and I tell you, you are Peter. Doesn't it sound funny? Andre, I'll tell you, you are Andre. Mavis, I'll tell you, you Mavis. Julian, I'll tell you, you Julian. That's not it. It means that Jesus sees your inside. He says, Susan, you are Susan. I have a specific role for you. So he says, Peter, Bar-Jonah. It was not man that revealed this to you, but my Father in the heaven. So we have to have revelation knowledge. When Peter heard Jesus' voice, when he lived with Him, he walked with Him every day, he heard Jesus in his ear, he became Peter, the rock. And Jesus says, on this rock I will build my church. Now we know there's many different interpretations of this verse. Some say Jesus is the rock, some say Peter is the rock. Why not both? Because Jesus is the rock on which the church is built. That is a given. But Peter played a major role in the early church to establish the church. So he was the foundation of the early church, not of the church, the body of Christ, but as the early church, as we still follow the example of. We all talk about the Acts church. We all go to look at what did they do in the early days to keep church the way we do. So Peter's destiny was revealed to him. Okay, so I'm going to share just a little bit of our lives, the parts that Andre missed when he did, just so that we can see what I mean if I say, go and investigate. Go through your life. Look at things that happened, and then ask yourself, God, what is it that you want to reveal to me about who you are in that time? So Andre told you that we both grew up in Extension 4. RDP houses. Those days in the 60s, the government built houses for poor South Africans. And we were those poor South Africans. You know, those dirty little kids in school. And he wasn't dirty. His mom has a thing about being clean. My mom, not so much. She only looked off behind our ears and under our feet. So washing was going like this. And when mom checked, you went like that. So sometimes you sit in class and you see the water drop still running through your dirty arm. But that was our growing up. There was nothing sophisticated. There was no luxuries. nothing at all. We were 6 kids, staying in the same house. My brother left to go to the army. 5 kids, 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. 1 bathroom, thanks, Andre, 1 bathroom. We were all girls. And life was tough because my mom and my dad, I always say, hulle was nie lekker getroud nie. Because my mom met my dad just after the Second World War. I told Ian and Anshin the story that she actually dropped her boyfriend to start writing letters to my dad while he was still in the war. And when he came back, a young man in his 20s, he married my mom. And life was tough then because there was no money. The war just ended. There were no jobs. And they were not ready because he didn't have time to deal with coming back from the war before he married my mom. So he couldn't deal with the after effects of war, poverty, not being able to look after my mom and the kids they had then, well, as life went on. But it's not that they weren't married lekker when they were young. It continued until he died. So my dad had these outbursts of anger and cruelty, and if you were in his way, you knew you were in the way. So we were beaten. Today they will call it abuse. But I think there were just so many kids who were the products of post-war babies that was just how it was. Your parents raised you so that you can survive a war. It had nothing to do with love. Oh, come, my child. Shame. I feel so sorry for you. Tough. If this was a war, you would be dead. Go. That kind of upbringing, that's what we had. I know today that my mom and my dad loved us. But the way they showed it those days, I thought, I hated this. I hated being a child in the house. But then we went to church every Sunday. We sat there in church, the whole family, in the mornings, and we smiled and waved. We're godly people. We're not hooligans. We're not scruffy. I know we get beaten, but we don't swear, we don't drink, we don't do those things. But is that who God is? Is where I couldn't see how God fitted into this thing. And it made me very, very confused. So I stayed in my room. I loved books. I stayed in my room as much as possible. By then we were 5 kids. My mom and dad lost the 1 little boy. And my 2 little sisters had learning problems, so my mom spent a lot of time with them. So I'm in my room. I'm angry. I'm upset. Mom spends time with the little kids, and I'm jealous. And that was how I met Andre. As a teenager, angry, judgmental. I judged my parents, and I thought they were not good parents. I judged my sisters, thought, no, they will spoil. I judged everyone. I judged myself. Nothing was ever good enough. Got 98% for a test. My dad would ask, so where's the other 2%? So you were just never good enough. So I knew I was not good enough. That was the image I grew up with. Not good enough. Doesn't matter how bright I was. And I was bright. I can brag a little bit because it's God that gave me my brain. You all know we didn't get it ourselves. I was the brightest kid in my school. I won all the academic awards. But what does it mean if you don't know who God is? If you don't know how to use what He gave you? Because He created you in a certain way so that you can glorify Him, so that you can honor Him. And I'm telling you this story, not that you must focus on me, but on what He has done, using that circumstances and get us out of it. So, yeah. Now, what have I learned about all that? I didn't learn the lesson when I was 17 or 18 years. I've learned the lesson. I knew what it meant only after we were married and had children. I looked at my children and I thought, God did well. He gave us good children. We're the best parents that these children can have. Now, who don't agree with me that you're the best parents for your kids? Do you all agree? You're the best parent your kids can have because God chose you. He chose you to be that son and that daughter's parents. Now, if that is true for me and Andre, if we can brag about who our kids are because God gave them to us, then wasn't that true for my mom and dad? He chose my mom and my dad to be my parents. He thought they were the best parents that we could have to raise us for his purpose. Now, do we condone the way we were treated? The fact that we had to wear jerseys in summer sometimes because of the bruises on our arms and our legs being beaten? No. We don't condone their behavior because that's not from God. But who he saw in them and what we were to become was formed in my house. It was my upbringing still had a purpose. My parents still plays a role in my life. So if anyone sits here and you wonder whether you've done a good job or whether you are a good parent, you are exactly the parent that God chose for your children. And just remember, if you have something against your parents, that they are exactly the best parents that God chose to be your parents. Because he's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He doesn't change his mind because there was a world war, because there's war in Ukraine, because there's a drought, because he doesn't change his mind. He still has us and his love and everything on his mind. So I learned in that period that God is forgiveness. You can't go on with your life if you walk with a burden of, I feel guilty about the way I treated my parents in your life. That's how I felt. So I had that burden because I knew that when I came out of that room, I was this child that didn't make their life easier. I was the child that thought I had the worst parents in the world, and I will show them that I will not listen to them. I will not do this. I will not. You know what I'm talking about. I couldn't move on before that was out of here. And you cannot take something out and not replace it with something else. So I had to take away the anger, and I had to put in God. So God gave me, and I always say he gave me, his spiritual gifts, the kindness, the gentleness, to forgive. Because you can't, if you don't have that, you can't forgive. I had to look at my mom and say, Mom, you know what? I love you. Not, but. I love you. I forgive you. I had to be kind to her when she was sick. We had to look after her. She stayed with us. And it was so good. And I thank God for that opportunity. So from that circumstances, I learned who God is. Who he is for me. He's my healer. You don't wake up one morning and say, oh, I've forgiven my parents, and now life is cool. It doesn't work that way because you still walk around with the wounds. You still have the scabs of the sores. You still have the sudden movement in your direction and you flinch because it doesn't just go away overnight. You still have to say, oh, not everyone who goes like this towards me wants to kill me or wants to hurt me or is angry. You have to learn to navigate life with all your sores and all your stuff inside of you. And that means, if you can do that, means you accept God as your healer. We're not just talking physical healing. We're also talking spiritual healing. And one day you look at life and you say, oh, actually my childhood was not that bad. Okay, we had a couple of bruises. But we had many wonderful things. We went to church as a family. Isn't that more important than spending time with your kids around the dam or on the boat or on the whatever you do? We learned about God. Eventually I could get to know him better, but I knew about him already. I knew that I was created for a purpose. I felt very spoiled because when I started learning about numbers, I heard that 7 was a perfect number. My birthday is the 7th of July, the 7th of the 7th. So I always thought if I sat in my room and I felt bad, I thought, God planned my birth. He made me be born on the 7th of July. I am worth something when I had all my self-doubt. So I grabbed something that God gave me, my birthday. I grabbed that and I held on to that. said, even if everything goes bad, I know. I didn't know how it works, but I knew. I was special because I was born on the 7th of the 7th. It's not a joke, Ian. I'm taking it very seriously. Yeah, so I told you that's how Andre found me. This messed up kid of 17 years old, but I was going to university. I was being very smart. The first one in my whole family. I was very special. I'm going to university. So Andre's cousin stayed next to us, and I met him there, and I told him, I'm a teenager, I'm 17, he's 19, going on 20, he told me, I'm 21 of these days. He said to me, oh, I am at university. Don't like this guy, he's stealing my thunder. He said, but I'm going to Potch. He said, I am there. Okay, next, yeah, my dad is taking me. Oh, does your dad know where it is? He said, no, we know where Potch is. We've seen it on the map, but we'll find it. It was before the days of GPS. I'm talking 70s here. And he said, oh, I'll show them. I said, oh, no, I don't want you who knows everything to come and ruin my new experience. But of course, he volunteered. Of course, my dad said yes, and there he went. And Andre became my lift. So in my first year, every time we went home, Andre was my lift. My mom paid him 7 rand for petrol every second time. And that's how we spent our first year. We got to know each other well because we spent many hours in the car. And we were friends. And at the end of our first year, we became an item. He kissed me. Like, mwah. I said, now you've ruined the friendship. But he didn't really because we're still friends. And he went to, I have to tell that. Sorry, Andre, that's the other bad thing about him. He likes social more than academics. So at the end of that year, his dad said to him, Andre, you have had enough of jolling, you're coming home. So we went home and had to go to the army for 2 years. And I completed my second and my third year. But we were very much in love. I can't even remember Andre asking me to marry him. We just knew we were going to get married. It was just, whenever we talked, we just knew we were going to get married. And so we saw each other only weekends. When he came home from the army, I came home from university. And at that stage, I've never in my life been on holiday. And we went to Scottsboro. His parents invited me to go with them to Scottsboro. The first time in my life that I saw the sea, that I actually was in a family that kind of loved each other because his family was like this. My family was drama. If there wasn't a drama, we created one. His family was like this. I said to Andre, how do you do this? Okay, I don't know. I don't know how this works. It was really, and they were English. And we're Afrikaans. I mean, very Afrikaans. Baie boere hervorme Afrikaners. And so life happened. We were stupid. We didn't make decisions. We just let life happen. Let things happen. By the time I was 20, Andre was 22, going on 23. He was also always going on something. I want to go back. He was always going on. So he was 22, going on 23. We were married. No, let's change the sequence. I was pregnant, we got married, and I started working in a factory because I couldn't complete my studies. And the cycle just continued because now we are back still in poverty. That university degree that I anticipated I will have is now gone. It's not going to happen. Andre has a work at the Air Force because he got the job before he went to the army. His salary is 270 rand a month. I have a study loan to pay back 40 rand a month. We have to pay rent. We didn't have money at all. But we were very, very much in love. And Andre is always happy and always calm. Nothing is ever good enough for me. But Andre, it's all fine. We'll cope, Miss Muffet, but we don't have money for food. Oh, we won't die of hunger. but I don't have money to feed you. Don't worry, we'll go and visit your mom. Yeah, so that is how our life started. We were just really, really stupid. But we were very excited about going to have this baby. And we prayed. And I must say, we both loved God. We just didn't know how to involve Him in our lives. He was someone you go, you meet at church, you come back, you pray, you read your Bible, and then you go on with life. And then I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And we always made decisions on what was before us and what we quickly thought was good. Not contacting God, contacting God, praying, asking Him, is this good or bad? So one day we got the opportunity to live in a house next to the church building, the old rectory. It was an old dilapidated house. The dominee went on to a new house, and we decided, they offered this house for free for anyone who would look after the gardens. Now we're young, we're fit. Nadia was a small baby then. We can do this. And you don't have to pay rent. You just need to mow the lawns and look after the gardens. And you just have to pay the water and electricity of the whole rectory and everything. So we decided that sounds like a good idea to us. My father came with his trailer. We put all our stuff on the trailer, and we went in. We stayed in this rectory. Now, in those days, we had a very well-balanced diet. On a Monday, we would eat pumpkin. On a Tuesday, we would eat rice. On a Wednesday, it will be cabbage. On a Thursday, so we had a weekly balanced meal. We didn't have a daily balanced meal. So we had a weekly balanced meal. So we could talk about our butternut day or our cauliflower day or that. And then over weekends, we would go with Nadia, now being a baby, and yes, many omas here, you will know what I'm talking about. You arrive with your baby at your mom's house. And she said, "Oh, give it to me." And you said, "Yes, okay, thank." And then you see, but you go just before lunchtime, and you see, okay, yeah, we'll make lunch. And then mom sits with the baby, and you said, "Oh, Andre, look, it's lunchtime. Come, we have to go now. Mom, can I have my baby? Thank you, Andre, come, let's go." My mom said, "No, stay. There's enough food." "No, really, Mom, we didn't come for lunch." "No, stay, it's okay." Okay, then he says quickly, "Okay, yeah, we'll stay." So that was our protein day, was visits with Mom in the day. So on one of those on our cauliflower day, our plate only had one. Our little part of the rectory that we stayed, we only got part of the rectory, not the whole pastoria. Is it the rectory? Is it that? Yeah. So we didn't get the whole house, we just got a part of it. So a stove with one working plate, one bedroom, and a lounge area. That was it. We eat-in kitchen is the modern day word for a kombuis, met 'n tafel in. So that's where we had our meals. And so I put the cauliflower in the pot, switched the plate on low, we left to mow the lawn. And it was eight stands. Andre with the lawnmower, I with the rake, putting it in, Nadia sitting in a pushchair. When we went back home, I opened the door, and the whole house was full of smoke and the smell of burnt cauliflower. I looked at the pot, that only plate that was on low, conked in. It could only go one way, and that was high and ultra high, because it was, the electric plates, they got red. So it was red. And my pot was kind of one with the plate. So I switched off the plate. Andre made us coffee, because that was our meal for the day. Andre made us coffee, and we went to bed. The next day, I thought by myself, I'll handle the spot the next day. Luckily, we breastfed Nadia, so she always had food. So I got to the kitchen, and I was trying to clean this spot, and I thought, what has my life become? Is this what God created me for? To be a sickler? Because that's who we are at the moment. We are sicklers. Is that who God created us for? And the tears were just running, and snot and trane. And the doorbell rang. And I thought, okay, quickly, sorry. Am I still okay? And I thought, okay, just clean up a little bit, and I opened the doorbell. And here, one of the smart ladies of the congregation stood in front of the door. She said to me, Susan, we're having a meeting next door, but we forgot to bring sugar for our tea. Do you perhaps have some sugar for us? And I thought, I can quickly lie and can say no, but no, that's not it. So I went to the kitchen, I took my sugar bowl, I gave it to her. I said, can you just please return my sugar bowl because it was a wedding gift? She said, yeah, sure, and she left. But when I closed that door, I knew that something just happened. Because if you don't have sugar for the rest of the month until the next payday, you have really, really reached rock bottom. Because we already didn't have food. Now we don't even, he drank sugar, I didn't. But I can't even give my husband a proper cup of coffee anymore. And I phoned Andre. I said, Andre, lunchtime, you see to it that you are getting home. You are here. He said to me, is anything wrong? I said, no. Just come. So lunchtime we came storming into the, is Nadia okay? Are you okay? I said, we are fine, but we're not fine. Tonight, we are going to have a meeting with God. Because I am 100% sure we were not created for this life that we are working out for ourselves without Him. 100% sure. He said, now, what do you want me to do? I said, okay, you make a list of things that you want to talk to God about tonight. We have an appointment. He thought I was stupid and he left. So he came home, put Nadia in a chair. Andre and I now around the chair. And we prayed. And now you've heard that I'm doing most of the talking already. So we sat there and I said, God, we are taking you on your word. And you said, where two or more are together in my name, I am there. So God, we're taking minutes and we say that you are here. See, no, I like to shine. He's tearing up and I'm looking at him. And in any case, so you are here. And he was. He showed up. He was there. And he didn't give us a plan for our lives. He gave us the first step. He said to us, finish, Susan, you're closer to the end of your qualification. Finish your qualification. Then, Andre, you must do it. And that's what he said. Go back to university. And I thought, now, how do we do that? We don't have money. But if God tells you to do something, He will make a way. So we sold what we had. We went to my mom. Now, by that time, my relationship with my mom was not restored yet. Mom, can we move in here? I mean, it was a big thing for the family that I was pregnant. And it was die skaamte van die hele familie. But in any case, so can we please stay here? I want to go back to university. Can't tell my mom about this meeting with God. She will think we're crazy. And she said yes. So we sold our things. Andre moved in with Nadia. We had a back room in my mom's house. The house didn't have 3 bedrooms anymore. As the kids left the house, my dad had more money to build more rooms. And Andre stayed there. I went back to university, and it was the toughest year of our life. You would think now we're sitting with God, He's giving us a plan, yay! It's going to be all fine. It wasn't. It was the toughest year of our lives. Andre worked full time. He came, then he would come home and he would have to bath Nadia. He will have to make bottles. Those days we had nappies. You remember those steri nappy buckets? Oh, we had steri nappy buckets. So Andre had to do the nappies, everything. I was at university studying. I missed her first tooth. I missed the first time she sat up. I missed the first time she took a step. I missed all of it because I was there for a year. I missed the first year. And life was just tough. And when it was so tough, Andre would phone me. You know Andre's family? He would phone me and he'd say, Miss Muffet, when we're big, when we're grown up, we're going to have 2 dogs. What do you think? And then my mind will just go, okay, there's a future. There's more than this that we are living. There are more. So one day he phoned me. I was in Port. He phoned me and said, Miss Muffet, I bought us a house. And I thought, oh, lekker. What does this house look like? I mean, we're playing a game. What does this house look like? He said, oh, it has 3 bedrooms. It has wooden floors. I said, and is there built-in cupboards? I mean, I have to play with, ne? Is there built-in cupboards? No, he told me. There's no cupboards in the kitchen either. There's just one of those shelves under the kitchen cupboard, but you can put little curtains there. I thought, but I know Andre, he cannot tell something like that if it's not the truth. He cannot make it up. He cannot play games. He'll start giggling or do something. He's going to get himself in a corner. I thought, he's seen this house. I'm sure he's seen this house. I said to him, what else can you tell me about the house? Oh, there's electricity in the garage. I thought, this is real. See? So where is this house? It's in Springs. He says, Springs? But we've never been to Springs. But do you know how cheap the houses are there? Now, it doesn't matter how cheap the houses are. We had to take out a loan for my studies. We're staying at the back of the house with my mom. I still don't have a teaching position. And he works for the town council. We don't have money. How do you buy a house without money? And I said to Andre, but you can't buy a house without money. You know, the academic thing come back. And he says, no, can I just complete my story, or are you going to go on and on and on and on? I said, no, okay. Talk. He says, okay, I went to the bank to apply for a loan. And then I exploded. I said, Andre, how stupid can you be? You can't go and apply for a loan if you know that we don't qualify for it. And in those days, there was a cash crisis in the country. So you had to take someone to make an investment before you can get a loan of 80% at least of the amount. Now, the house was 24,000 rand. We didn't have that money. So we needed to take someone with about 18 or 19,000 rand to make an investment. We live in Extension 4. We don't know people with that kind of money. Are you crazy? He said, okay, can I ask you again? Can I complete my story? He said, yes, okay. Breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, go on. He said, so I applied for the loan and they declined it. Oh. But now is ek opgewerk en gewip. Because he told me to keep quiet, and I don't like that a lot. I like talking. And I said to him, yeah. And he said, yeah. And then when they declined it, they invited me to come for an interview for a job. So they offered me a position. Now, all this happened since the previous telephone call, which was the day before. So he applied for a loan. They declined the loan application. They invited him for an interview. He got the job. But with the job also came a staff loan to buy the house. The staff loan pays 60 rand a month, 3% interest. 60 rand is our home installment. Then, if you take 30 rand extra, it sounds like one of those Checkers ads. If you pay 30 rand extra into an investment account, in 10 years you will have enough money to settle the bond. Well, that sounds like a deal to me. So for 90 rand a month, we could suddenly afford a house. And Andre had a job at the bank, and he loved it. He loved it. Now, why do I tell you this particular story in our long, nearly 70 years history? Our sugar bowl moment was the turning point of our lives and the turning point of our relationship with God. When we said, God, please come and help, He came. And He has never, ever, ever left us. He didn't give us the whole plan. We still need to consult Him every now and then, like in every day, 100 times, on where to put down our feet. The next step. What is the next step? Because He wants to walk with you. He doesn't want to give you the plan and say, yalla, yalla. Oh, that's go. The Arabic for go. Yalla, yalla. Go and live your life. I'm here. Call me if you want to. He doesn't work that way. He wants to work with you. It's just like He's our Father. And we're his children. Come on, child, how are you? Are you okay? No, not that way. Go this way. No, don't say yes to that guy. I'm putting something in your heart to just scratch a little bit so that you don't go into business with that guy. Don't do that. So we walk with him every single day. It changed our whole lives. Did life suddenly become easier? No, not at all. It actually became harder. But I'm running a little bit ahead of my story. I'll come back to the little harder. I first want to tell you, what did we learn about who God was for us from this story? The first thing is you can trust him with all your heart, with all your might, with everything. Just trust him because he cannot lie. It is against anything that he stands for. He cannot lie. He will not say, I am your source. And then, no, gaan maar aan, sukkel maar op jou eie. If he's your source and he thinks something is good for you, he will give it to you. But if he doesn't give it to you, then it means it's not good for you. It's not to your benefit. Will you give to your children things that's not good for them? No. So don't say, but God never answers my prayers. Some things we don't even understand, and we don't even try to understand that. We don't want to even go there and try to understand because he's God. You accept what he says. So if something happens and you can't explain it, you can't say, God, but why? He doesn't owe us an answer. He is God. He doesn't have to come and say, Susanna, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. Are you okay with that? How presumptuous is that? But we live our lives as if we expected him to do it, even if we don't say it with our mouths. So live your life under his covering, under him, and believe what he says. If you read in the Bible, God says, I will go before you. He will go before you. It's not, I will go before you if. It's, I will go before you. I ask God, he says, I will go. He doesn't lie. That's the first thing. And now I've got a list. Now I need to consult my list. The second, and I can't even remember which page it was, but it was close to the end, so don't worry. The second thing that we learned about that is that when we ask God to come and talk to us, we invited him. We said, come to our meeting. He came. We invited. Now, do you know what foie gras is? That fatty liver things that the French eat. It's fatty duck liver. Yeah. They take the ducks. I saw it on TV once and it was disgusting. They take the ducks and they lift up their necks. High. Then they put food, so they open the whole channel, yeah. So they put food in because the ducks can't eat that much by themselves, and they put the food down the throat of the ducks until they grow these fatty livers, and then they kill them and take their livers, and that's a delicacy. I always think when I think of God in our lives, he doesn't force himself on us. He doesn't take us by the necks and say, here I am, you will take me, you will get me. He doesn't do that. He says, I am here. And we called him. We said, God, please come into our lives. He will not force himself on you. He gave you a free will to say yes to him. Yes, you first say, yes, I take you, God, as my Savior. And yes, God, I want to live my life with you. You are not a duck, and he will not force food down your throat, the food of him. And the main thing of that is just be in constant communication. And we always say in our daily lives, communication is important. My husband doesn't communicate with me. My children doesn't tell me anything. But we are God's children. Do we communicate with him? And in the Bible it says, in Revelation it says, he who has ears, let him hear what the Spirit has to say. But listen to that sentence. He who has ears, listen to what the Spirit has to say. We don't hear the Spirit with our ears, do we? We don't. But it means that we are pre-wired. We are hardwired to be able to hear the voice of God. So don't say, I don't hear the voice of God. You have the ability. You have ears. He says so in the Bible, if you have ears, you can hear me. You can hear my spirit. So we have proof. I haven't seen one person here without ears, so we can all hear him. We must just get to know his voice so that we can discern when it is from him and when it's not from him. And invite him in. He will come. I have proof. He came. The third one is, and I have to laugh at myself if I say this, allow your life, live your life in a way that allows God or that gives God room to perform miracles. Have you ever heard of someone who went to the bank to apply for a loan and they got a job and the loan? No. Neither did we. But it happened. Why? Because we said, God, we will follow, we will be obedient. And God revealed Andre's destiny. Just as he revealed Peter's destiny way back when the Father revealed to Peter who Jesus was. When we had a fresh revelation of who he was in our lives, he revealed Andre's destiny. Andre, you're going to become a banker. One day you're going to have your own bank. We didn't understand that. We don't know how. Extension 4, dirty kids, no money. How? God doesn't call the people who's already equipped. He equipped the ones that he called. That is it. So, allow your life. Go, and it's easy for Andre. He says they will have to say no. He does stupid things. And then he says, if they don't want to do it, then they just say no. For me, it's rejection. Myself gets into the way. I don't want them to say no, so I'll rather not apply. I don't apply for this job because maybe they'll say no and then I feel rejected. That's nonsense. That doesn't hold water in God's economy. If he wants you to have something, you'll have it. If you don't, you're not supposed to have it, then you won't have it. So I would not have applied for the loan. We might have still been in Extension 4. But Andre, the way Andre lives his life, allows God to perform miracles. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about my veggie garden. I plant seeds in the same bed that I have put compost in. I water them the same every day. And then 4 of the 5 seeds come up. And I think, now, what happened to the other one? Well, where is it? Then of the 5 that came up, the one in the middle goes that tall. The other one kind of goes there, and the other 2 are normal. I think, now, how did that happen? And then one, I'm talking about my peas specifically now. Then the one has many peas, the other one has 1 or 2. I think, now, how did that happen? And one day God just said to me in my veggie garden, I'm in charge. You cannot control which seeds will come up and which seeds won't. You cannot control how fast they grow. You cannot control how many fruit they. But what is my responsibility? I have to put the seed in the ground. That is my responsibility. Put your seed in the ground, wherever. If God uses your seed and makes it bloom, then it's meant to be. If that seed doesn't grow, then it's better left. Become compost for the next one you're going to plant. But you cannot force things if it's not within the will of God and have good outcome. Have a good outcome. Okay, the 4th one, where are we? There's not many of them. We are part of God's family. We do not ask God to bless our plans. We don't make plans. We're not clever enough to make plans. God says in Jeremiah 29, I know the plans I have for you. So he has plans for it. And I know he said it to Israel. But if he had plans for Israel, he will have plans for us. I know the plans I have for you. So how can I live according to God's plans if I don't ask him what his plans are? So we don't ask God, God bless our plans. We say, God, we are here. What are your plans for us? And Andre has a meeting every morning, 6 o'clock, every weekday morning, 6 o'clock, with God about business, about banking. Not our personal quiet time, that's not it. It's a business meeting that he has with God, 6 o'clock every morning. Because in Jeremiah 33 verse 3 it says, 33 verse 3 it says, ask me, call on me, and I will reveal to you the things that you do not know, things that are hidden from you. Now, we don't go to God and ask him things that we know. We go to God and we ask him the things that we don't know, the things that are hidden from us. Because we don't know everything. We know what's happening here. And at the moment, as Ian said, God is connecting people, and we see that in business. God is connecting Andre with people in America, with people all over the world, to form part of his bigger plan. And the thing is, you have to ask God what his plans are. And then God took us to different countries. We've lived in many, many countries. And we've even met heads of state. And that was part of our prophecy. It was prophesied that you will meet people, you'll meet kings of countries, and you will meet important people. And it happened. So if we get a prophecy, we pray over it. We ask God, if this is from you, confirm it. And if it's confirmed, we take it seriously. We start living our lives in a way that will, when that door opens, we're ready. So prepare for your prophecies to come out, or to come true. And then the last thing is, what you believe who God is must manifest in your life. It's a manifestation is external proof of an internal reality. So if God is real to you on your inside, your outside, your way you live must prove that. So where are we now? Just before we left Oman, God called Andre to open his own bank. We opened our own bank. Was it easy? No. Have we known anyone who's opened a bank before? No. How do you do it? I don't know. With the help of God. That's all I can say. How big it is. God will not call you to do something that you can do yourself. That's underestimating God in a way that is really, I think, really sinful. He will call you to do something where people can see it is Him in your life. So if we say we've opened a bank, glory to God. It took Andre 7 years to get his degree. When we worked in Absa Bank, and we've Trust Bank before, and that's where we met, we got our connection point with Phyllis, who was also our old Trust Banker way back. If we want to do new things, we got consultants in. Anderson Consultant. You know the clever guys who studied at Harvard and Oxford and those we got those guys on. Now Andre tells me he's going to start a bank. God called him to, and he's going to do it. I said, good for you. Do it. But in the meantime, I said, God, please don't let my husband make a fool of himself. Till God said to me, but Susan, who do you think you are? If I choose someone to do something, to doubt my choice. To judge my choice. And I had to go back to Andre, and I said, Andre, you know what, I'm really sorry, but I really thought that this was just a kind of, we're going to open a bank, but yeah, it's not going to happen. I really feel sorry that I did that, and I will support you in everything you do, and I'll help you if there's anything I can help you with. Just tell, I've got many years of banking experience too. And walking in God's way and opening this bank and see how it connects with other things in the world, because it's not a normal bank, it's a kingdom bank. The principles are kingdom principles. We just see God lighting up the world. And we give glory to God every day. We get up and we say, thank you, God, for this life. Because I've never heard of anyone who came out of Extension 4, who got a job they didn't apply for, who's seen the world, met kings and queens, and opened a bank. Only God. Don't you agree? Only God. To Him all the glory and the honor. And I've given you many verses that's on that piece of paper. It is just today, I'm just standing here now. I would just want to say, go through your life. Because just as we had a sometimes really, really bad life, even in the bad times, we learned so much of who God is, of His goodness, His kindness, His everything. And I just want to encourage you to spend time with Him. Invite Him in. If you're not sure, what does it take from you today? Just come to God. We're having a meeting. Taking up His word. God, you say that you will do it. He will, because He can't lie. All right.